Pretty, a person, especially a woman or child, who is considered attractive without being truly beautiful. Where everywhere you're looking, you're seeing videos and pictures of perfect girlies shaking their perky booties and dancing with their teeny tiny waists. And so you turn around, but then there's a girl who's tweaked her face so much that she looks like a bratz doll. And behind her is a girl who is so caked in makeup in what appears to be a thinly veiled attempt to capture the male gaze and gain access to the illustrious world of pretty privilege. Not appealing to these standards is almost an act of rebellion. Let's be real, it's no lie that being pretty comes with certain perks. When she's a child, the pretty girl is usually the parent's favorite. She's usually the popular girl in school, and thus she avoids the pitfalls of bullying and being left out of social situations. When the pretty girl grows up, she often finds it easy to get her dream job, attract an affluent partner. I mean, we've all seen the trophy wives on the arms of rich, powerful men. Heck, there's even evidence to suggest that attractive women are treated with more leniency in legal situations. That's pretty privilege. The pretty girl often finds it easy to coast through life because her good looks attract the attention of admirers and businesses who want to capitalize on her beauty. As the Kooks famously sang, "Beauty is a card that must get played by organization." But the Kooks also go on to say that the world chewed her up and spat her out. Because as you'll see in this video, pretty privilege is not all it's cracked up to be. And actually, in the long run, being perceived as ugly could actually be better than being pretty. I know you guys, it's hard to believe, but trust me, ugly privilege is a thing. Now, before anyone gets their knickers in a twist, which I know they will, what is ugly anyway? If you look it up in the Oxford Dictionary, it will tell you that the word ugly means someone who is unpleasant or repulsive, especially in appearance. And that may very well have been true back in the day. Fast forward to now, I don't think that definition fits very well anymore. Being ugly in 2024 basically refers to anyone who doesn't fit our unrealistic standards of beauty. You don't have a Barbie doll nose, you're ugly. You don't have artificially inflated lips to rival a baboon's butt, you're ugly. You don't fit the Instagram model aesthetic of Bug's Life waist, big bum, bratz doll face and blonde hair, you're ugly too. You don't have enough filler in your cheeks to rival a chipmunk. I mean, is it really any wonder that so many of us see pictures of ourselves and think we look like shit? Or you look in the mirror and you just want to cry because you think you'll never look as pretty as the girls you see online and you'll never be as beautiful and you'll never be worthy of love. Well, let me tell you this. The problem isn't actually your appearance. You are perfectly gorgeous. But here's what I'm starting to realize. Being considered ugly in this day and age is actually a damn good thing. Because actually, ugly privilege is the new pretty privilege. I mean, even Madison Beer is trying to downgrade her conventionally attractive good looks because even though being super pretty gained her a leg up in the industry, relying solely on your good looks is not going to keep you there for long. The internet is full of forums wondering how on earth Madison Beer hasn't been a bigger success in the music industry despite her good looks. But she has pretty privilege, they cry in confusion.
Her pretty privilege is failing her and we just don't understand why.
I'll tell ya, being so conventionally pretty that you literally resemble a walking, talking AI creation might be awesome for building a social media following. Being pretty does not automatically equal you success if all you have to offer is your beauty. Madison, despite having a lovely voice, is so conventionally attractive that despite not having the strongest song repertoire, people just expected that she would blow up, but she didn't. I mean, even Susan Boyle, who most would agree doesn't exactly fit today's beauty standards, sold 10 million copies of her debut album, whereas Madison only sold 200,000 of hers. Turns out being
really ridiculously good looking
isn't enough. As these Reddit users discuss, no one takes her seriously as a singer because she looks more like an Instagram model. Harsh, but probably true. Now, the interesting thing is, Madison has seemed to realize that simply relying on pretty privilege hasn't worked out very well for her. And so she is trying to do what the internet at large suggests, which is be less pretty. We're starting to realize that the real power lies in being unique, interesting, different, ugly. Madison has been making a point of wearing less makeup, going on camera with pimple cream on her face. Like, look at me, I'm a human just like you, I swear. Look, I have a pimple. And I'll even highlight it with the pimple cream in case you couldn't see it. And it's working. Look at the comments under the video. People are delighted at seeing Madison looking a little more human, a little less flawless. They like that. So often when there is a woman who society deems to be extra beautiful, she's renounced to just one thing, her looks. There's nothing else to her. She's just a pretty face. Eye candy. No one cares if she's intelligent, funny, creative, talented, kind. Who gives a shit? What does that matter when you're beautiful? Oh, and if you're pretty, you can't have an opinion. Even I get this sometimes because I have dyed blonde hair and I wear makeup. There's also the unfortunate truth that people tend to demean pretty women and treat them like they're stupid. They must be a bimbo because they're pretty. If you have good looks, you can't possibly have a brain too. The sad fact is, far from always sailing through life on the back of pretty privilege, more often than not, beautiful women are often objectified, dehumanized, and considered little more than an aesthetically pleasing hunk of flesh, which is probably why there is a new trend emerging of women who want to unbeauty themselves, which which in this day and age sounds wild, right? Everywhere we look, left, right, and center, we are bombarded with women who are desperately trying to alter themselves to fit the beauty standards. Botox, filler, makeup, hair dye, fake butts, fake boobs, fake nails, fake teeth. Look at girls like Noah Cyrus. Here is a girl who went to great lengths to tweak her natural features to fit in with what was currently considered beautiful. And she achieved it. Big lips, perfect makeup, tiny waist, very Instagram model. But I guess looking like an Instagram model isn't all it's cracked up to be, because Noah did an abrupt about turn and now looks like this. Talk about putting your finger up to the beauty standards. I mean, you gotta give it to her for her confidence to stand out, go against the grain, and do whatever the hell she wants. Dove Cameron, she's another one who went out of her way to tweak her face to aesthetic perfection, and once she achieved it, did a backflip and tweaked herself more, but not to look prettier as such, but to look interesting. You realize that you actually miss being an individual. You realize that people stop taking you seriously because you're just another pretty face. You don't get as far as you hoped in your career because you're just another pretty girl. Because for all its surface privileges, apparently being pretty is not all it's cracked up to be. No, now we want edgy, unique, borderline ugly. I'm talking a nose larger than a Barbie's, small lips that wouldn't look out of place in the 1920s, bleached brows. When you realize that with our tweakments, we are all beginning to look the same, after a while it gets pretty bloody boring.
I'm bored!
So what's a girl gotta do to stand out in an era of Instagram clones? Uglify yourself. That's what. Turns out, if you think you're ugly, you already have the upper hand. If you think you're ugly compared to the current ideal of beauty, chances are you already look interesting. You already have something that sets you apart, makes you unique, a work of art. That in itself gives you the upper hand. It makes you powerful. There's a reason why these girls have turned their backs on trying to fit in. Now, they want to stand out. It turns out we're all kind of getting a little bit bored of the beauty standards. We're getting bored of altering ourselves to try and fit in, to try and achieve pretty privilege. Being ugly is now cool.
I'm ugly and I'm proud!
The beauty standards are dying, and being considered ugly is no longer something to be ashamed of. It tells the world, I don't give a what you think of me. I am not going to alter myself to live up to your beauty standards. And that is why, as this magazine so eloquently puts it, the ugly beauty trend is growing in popularity. It's getting kind of fun because instead of using makeup like we did back in 2017, where we all tried to beautify ourselves to the point of looking like bloody caricatures, now women who are in the public eye, who by all accounts would rely on pretty privilege, are going out of their way to avoid it. Women like Doja Cat and Julia Fox, they're wearing makeup all right, but not to look prettier. They're painting their faces in abstract ways that still gain attention, but not the male gaze. Because you can't talk about pretty privilege without also talking about the male gaze. Now, don't get me wrong, I love men, but I can also hardly acknowledge that altering yourself to make yourself more appealing to men is only going to end in disaster. We see it all the time nowadays, where women will find themselves heading down a slippery slope of changing just about everything about themselves in order to appeal to the male gaze. Because along with appealing to the male gaze comes other advantages. Men find you attractive, they're more likely to open doors for you, figuratively and literally. They might even end up marrying someone rich and famous and living the rest of their life as a trophy wife. But along with that movement comes a new movement. Not only do some women have zero interest in appealing to the male gaze, they actually abhor the idea of appealing to the male gaze. These women purposely strive to look less beautiful. They don't want to be pretty at all. They deliberately dress and style themselves in a way, as they say, to repel men.
Ladies, I'm gonna show you exactly how to repel men with makeup.
Because it turns out choosing to actively unparticipate in the beauty standards also comes with its own advantages. Lady Gaga, for example, she deliberately dressed in shocking and obscene outfits, painted her face in bizarre ways, and purposely made sure that she would not be seen as a sex symbol or just another pretty female singer. And it worked. She is now one of the most powerful and respected female artists in the world. Because as we've seen time and time again, being seen as the pretty bombshell rarely ends well. But isn't it telling that women should feel the need to wear shocking face paint, wear a meat suit, and dress as a literal monster in order to avoid falling victim to the pitfalls of pretty privilege? As a female myself, it does shit me a little. If you don't fit today's beauty standards, you're ugly. So you don't get the same privileges that beautiful women do. On the flip side, if you're a beautiful woman, you're objectified, taken advantage of, reduced to simply your face and body. There is a reason why Hollywood actresses, famous for their good looks, have all felt the need to tone down their beauty and take on a ugly role. First, we had Margot Robbie playing Queen Elizabeth I, and then again as Tonya in a movie by the same name, where the papers gleefully wrote about her beauty makeunder. By playing these quote-unquote ugly characters, Margot was elevated from playing the traditional sex kitten, dumb blonde trophy wife roles that typically blonde, pretty actresses are typecast as, to being taken seriously as a talented actor. Then we had Charlize Theron with her portrayal of Eileen in the movie Monster. The director Patty Jenkins says that Charlize having to embody someone who is fat and ugly wasn't done on purpose, but just part of the role of transitioning into the character. rightio.
She herself has won an Oscar for the film Monster for being so ugly.
Regardless, the fact that Charlize had the courage to take on an ugly role gained her a new respect in the industry, and instead of being just another pretty actress, she was now an Oscar-winning actress. Again, don't underestimate the power of ugly. Look at Sydney Sweeney, extremely talented actress, extremely hardworking. I mean, the girl literally OD'd on birth control pills and Tylenol to stop her period for a photo shoot, which I do not endorse doing, but we'll go with hardworking because she did it so she wouldn't look bloated for the photo shoot. Whether you think Sydney is drop dead gorgeous or butt ugly, I mean, there seems to be camps on both sides, which is proof that beauty is subjective. There's no denying that thanks to her well-endowed mammary glands, Sydney has a lot of the time been denigrated to a walking pair of boobs. The quintessential hot girl. Just like all these other blonde, beautiful actresses, I guess Sydney realized that if she wanted to be taken seriously as an actress, she was gonna need to let go of the pretty privilege and harness the power of ugly privilege. Enter Sydney's role as reality winner. The fact that Sydney is shown minus her makeup, no pretty hairstyling, and no flattering studio lighting as we see with most other Sydney roles, in this day and age is quite shocking to some people because Sydney had the daring to go on film looking unglamorous. Thanks to that, she has garnered new respect in the industry who now consider her to be a gritty and capable actress. When actually, her acting ability hasn't changed. It's the same as it always has been. It's just that she changed her look. She stopped playing up to the role of the blonde bombshell that everyone expected from her and went for grit and determination and individuality instead. And it paid off. What happens to girls who simply rely on pretty privilege to get through life and don't harness the power of ugly? I guess Megan Fox can probably tell us. Megan learned the hard way when, due to her good looks, she found herself being typecast as the hot girl, and then the hot girl, and then the hot girl, and surprise, surprise, the hot girl in all her movies.
I've been pretty picky about my roles. I don't want to get, typecast into anything, so I'm really picky about my roles. I don't want to get typecast. Cut to 15 years later.
Poor Megan was reduced to being nothing more than a good body and a pretty face. I mean, even journalists and reporters in countries worldwide would speak to her but focus solely on her beauty, on her looks, rather than what she had to say, her acting ability, or who she was as a person.
My favorite.
Oh my goodness, Guillermo. Yeah, well, it's nice of you to do that for people to spread your love around to our security.
Yeah.
Do you do that to other security guards or just Guillermo? Here's my picture of us together. I think I did it with a pen. That's how we did it in my day. We didn't have computers and stuff. All we had was ourselves and a mirror.
I don't know if there's a man alive who's not in love with you in some way.
You're so silly.
You know what am I really?
You're a silly
No,
man.
I'm not silly at all.
You're a silly man in a checkered shirt.
See, now I think you're flirting with me. I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. Come on.
And now you're a sex symbol, though. I mean, you're like an FHM, Maxim, and you're like one of the hottest girls listed. So what does that do for you?
It's hard for me. It makes me very uncomfortable.
But that's always the case, though?
Because you are a sex icon. Don't
You
mind.
are so crazy. Go ahead.
Not really. But cool. I've got one last thing.
What is it?
Please, can you give me a kiss? Please.
On the
In front of
mouth?
camera.
Women are scared of a strong, confident penis. Would that be right or wrong?
See, this is good for people to do to me because then that's really offensive. Like, I'm so offended that you just said that.
Although it seems, looking at you and seeing you in this role, that, you were always going to make it one way or another, weren't you?
The truth is, where beauty is sometimes the key to easy success, to opening doors, to making life easier for yourself, sometimes it can also be a curse. If you are one of those girls who's been beating yourself up for having the nerve to look different than what we're told we should look like, and wishing that you too could experience the benefits of pretty privilege, let me tell you this. Pretty privilege also comes with some pretty damn ugly disadvantages. Namely, the fact that when your worth as a human being is based solely on what you look like physically, the pressure to maintain that beauty will eat you alive. When you're seen as beautiful, you aren't allowed to age, and if you do, people will gleefully make it known that you're losing your looks. You aren't allowed to put on weight or your body do anything that normal bodies do, such as having cellulite or stretch marks. If you do, you will be lambasted for having let yourself go. And you can't complain, because what would you know about life's many struggles? You're pretty.
No one should be subjected to these genetically blessed people complaining about what their looks have cost them. Boo-hoo, these poor, sad, good-looking actors.
But the thing is, a good face and body is only going to last so long. The human body is not made to look like it's 19 forever, despite what the beauty companies would want you to believe, that if you just buy their latest cream or inject more neurotoxin into your face, you'll be able to maintain your youth and beauty forever. You can't. We are made to, if we are lucky enough, age. And with that process comes the blessing of wisdom wrinkles and silvery strands highlighting your hair. So when you've coasted through life relying solely on your looks to get you everything you ever wanted, you will do anything to hold back the hands of time and stay looking beautiful. Because if you don't, you're fucked. Look at the sad desperation of Kim Kardashian and her sisters. These girls have no obvious talent. They can't sing.
Been an awful good girl, Santa baby. So hurry down the chimney tonight.
Dance. Act.
We're not actresses. Like, what do you think I'm gonna be?
Don't tell him what to do. He's my man.
Back off. You don't want none of me.
They have created an entire conglomerate based on their looks alone. So is it any wonder, really, that their ringleader, Kim, is so desperate to ward off the signs of aging that she would literally eat shit on the daily if it meant she could stay looking young and beautiful forever. But don't let me tell you how Kim feels. She'll tell you herself that at the ripe young age of 43, she only has a few years left to look good. And once her good looks are gone, so will she be.
I've got about 10 years where I still look good. So that's all I've got.
Then we have Kylie, who transformed herself into looking like a totally different person, face and body, in order to take advantage of pretty privilege. And it worked swimmingly for a while. Thanks to her newfound role as the pretty girl, she rose up the ranks in her family's business to become Momager Chris's new favorite daughter. Her new socially acceptable face allowed Kylie to become a fake billionaire off the back of her makeup line, with a promise that if you purchased her lip kits, you too could be blessed with pretty privilege. Her highly posed model-esque Instagram pictures have gained her 400 million followers, and with that, the privilege of earning millions of dollars for simply posting one pretty Instagram picture holding a product. Nice for some. But with all the privileges that being seen as pretty brings, come the drawbacks. And believe me, these drawbacks arguably trump the benefits. Because Kylie has created a new life for herself off the backs of her surgically enhanced good looks, she now has to hold on to those good looks whatever the cost. And I mean that literally, because tweakments aren't cheap. And because we've now all come to know Kylie as being like the epitome of aesthetic perfection, she is now held to standards that even she can't live up to. Hence the breakdown on camera a few weeks ago and her increasingly dermal-filled face. When pretty privilege has allowed you to coast through life off the back of your good looks, and as such your entire livelihood, career and self-worth, and personal relationships rely on how beautiful you look, girl, I'd rather be ugly. The fact of the matter is, so often in our society, we depreciate a woman's value to just her looks. Is she pretty? Ugly? Is she skinny? Fat? It's fucked. The truth of the matter is, it doesn't actually matter what you look like, people are going to have an opinion on it anyway. And yet here we are being sold this idea that pretty privilege is everything we should strive for, and that if we achieve pretty privilege, our life will be so much easier. We won't have to lift a finger, we'll just be handed success on a plate. I beg to differ. Whilst obviously it does have its advantages, it also comes with huge drawbacks. And actually, we women also have power in our ugly, in our grit, in our rebellion, our refusal to surgically change our faces and bodies to appeal to other people's illusions of what beauty is. Being ugly in 2024, far from being something to be ashamed of, is now the goal. Because when being pretty in our generation means changing basically everything about yourself that makes you you, that pays respects to your ancestry and genetics, embracing your uniqueness, your quirks, your individuality and weirdness is an act of rebellion. It's like saying, pretty privilege is great and all, but I'd rather take ugly privilege, thanks. By the way, guys, please follow me on Instagram. That is where I update you guys on my day-to-day life. This is my Instagram. Come and say hi. Anyway, you guys, I will leave this video here. I love your guts, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.